We're
The
having a
question is how
conversation
do
with Dr. Neil. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Go ahead.
no, the question is how do we effectively go about it? The most
Yeah,
effective ways. And I know
we'll
you
come.
and I have had many
We'll
conversations
come.
about that.
Yeah, yeah, we'll come to that, Dr. Neil, later on in the poem in our discussions here because people have divergent views about it. But let's go to Francis, who's been waiting patiently. He lives in Colorado, and I thought, Francis, you have a question or a comment about?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
And let me give a little background. In 2015, I read a book by two Indian South African scholars. The title of the book is The South African Gandhi, Stretcher Bearer of Empire. And the book talks about the racist ideas of Gandhi in South Africa, and how even when he wrote his autobiography, The Story of My Experiments with Truth, he removed every reference to his racist ideas when he was in South Africa. But my question is, given that Martin Luther King was fighting against racism in America, how can we reconcile his views of nonviolence with Gandhi, who was known to be a racist?
Good question. I know that. I read that book, by the way. The Gandhi was a white. He was a racist. He's not going to be a white supremacist, but he really looked down on Native Africans as inferior persons. But then he eschewed, he was into nonviolence. How do you, Dr. Neil, how did you get that question from Dr. Francis?
Yeah, I think I've heard it. Despite if that's true or not, to me, it really doesn't matter because out of that, whatever that is, out of that, if there is a tactic that we can use to free ourselves, who cares what Gandhi thought about racism at that time or what he thought about Africans? The larger thing that we can pull from that is there a tactic that he used that we can free ourselves? Don't get caught up in the other stuff. What can we use? What is the weaponry we can choose from that'll be the most effective thing to free us?
Weapons. Francis, thanks for your call. Appreciate that. You talk about weapons, Dr. Neil Hall. Explain to us what weapons. Dr. Martin Luther King's weapon was nonviolence, period. He also stressed that people should, there's a lot of things he said about education, about, self-preservation, about morality issues and all that kind of stuff. But so his weapon was not, what to you would have been his weapons that could be used today if he was alive?
Well, I know what the weapons the oppressor uses to control elements within his group. So when one white master doesn't like what the other white master is doing and they want to change that behavior, what do they use? What do they do? What do they feel is the most effective way to control their people? And it is, on a political level, it's economic sanctions. On a revenue level, with respect in the United States, when they want us to turn right or left, they make changes in the tax code to change our behavior. It's all about economics.
The tax code, by the way, is for everyone, regardless of who you are, right?
That's right. And that's very important that you say that, because it's not about controlling just black people. It's about controlling everyone.
Right.
It's just it's a different string that they pull for black people. And there's a different hierarchy with respect to all this. But that's a great point that you just made. It's about controlling everybody. And what is the most effective way to control not just the black people, but everybody? It's economic. It's economic. When the white master got tired of Trump, what did they do? They all pulled back their money.
What did Martin Luther King? Right. Okay. I'm just sorry. I'm just going to ask you what do you think Martin Luther King thought were when it came to economics? Because he was fighting about social justice, inequality issues, and the rights of poor working class people, right? So what? Go ahead.
I can't tell you what I thought was in his head. I can tell you what I wished was in his head, but I can't tell you what I thought was in his head. I do know that in the Montgomery bus boycott, it wasn't God that saved us. It wasn't God that said we could sit anywhere on the bus. It was when blacks stopped riding the bus, so the bus company wasn't making any money. It's when blacks were not going downtown because they weren't on the bus, so white businesses were losing money. So white businesses went to the white bus company and said, let those black people sit anywhere. It was economics. I cannot tell you what was in his head. I can only tell you what I would have hoped that eventually would have come to his head in his realization that it's an economic war. And the tools of the economic war, the weaponry of the economic war is, among other things, skin color, religion, political views, your sexual orientation, your gender, age, anything that can make division or to differentiate one from the other. And in that differentiation, we set a hierarchy. I'm better, you're not. All for economic reasons.
We're having a conversation with Dr. Neil Hall. Dr. Neil Hall is a Harvard-trained ophthalmologist, now turned poet, and internationally acclaimed poet, and he is talking about his poems about Dr. Martin Luther King and his accomplishments, and sort of giving us ideas in terms of black liberation, which is essentially the works that Martin Luther King fought for all his life. We are going to go to Woody. Woody is an institutional borrower here in Philadelphia. Woody, welcome to the show. What comment or what question do you have for Dr. Neil Hall?
Well, I'm just hoping we don't go on the break because I'm getting ready to tell Dr. Neil Hall I really appreciate his thoughts about Dr. King. But we actually celebrate Dr. King every year on the day he was assassinated because that was a great sacrifice.
And you just said something very important. Woody, I've just been interrupted. I'm sorry. We'll come back in a minute to continue our conversation. I've been told we have to go on a short break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Don't miss an unforgettable musical event on the Opera Philadelphia channel. Tyshawn Sori's Cycles of My Being. Cycles of My Being explores the realities of being a black man in America today through highly personal and powerful songs, asking the question, what does it mean to love a country that doesn't love you back? Starring world-famous tenor Lawrence Brownlee, Cycles of My Being available on demand on the Opera Philadelphia channel. Watch it on TVs, computers, and mobile devices. Rent Cycles of My Being at operaphila.tv.
Did you know you can use LIHEAP to pay your PICO bill? Last year, PICO customers received almost $17 million in free LIHEAP support. This year, take advantage. This deal is first come, first served. Apply now. Call 800-34-HELP-4.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Independent Black Media.
And we're back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. Every Saturday, if it's 1 o'clock, we gather ourselves together and discuss some critical issues that impact on black people particularly, but oppressed populations in general. On today's edition of the show, we just had Dr. Martin Luther King celebration on Monday. On today's edition, we're talking about his legacy, his contributions, that legendary, iconic human rights leader. Our guest today is Dr. Neil Hall, himself a human rights activist. Reads his poems all over the world, Japan to Asia to Africa to Latin American countries. He's also a fierce human rights activist. And he's with us today because he has a lot of poems he wrote about Dr. Martin Luther King. Before the break, we had our own legendary barber in town, Philadelphia here, Mr. Woody. Can you continue with your question or commentary?
Yes, I just wanted to say I appreciate this program because Dr. King was so important, not just to one place, but to the entire globe. The spirit of what he was doing had to do with using a weapon called peace. Would you agree, Dr. Hall?
Dr. Hall.
if you want peace, you got to be prepared for war.
I understand, but I'm saying he was using peace as a weapon, even with the bus boycott. Everything he was using was not to take a gun. He said, look, these people want money. 400 years of chattel slavery, we got paid nothing. This country is made and structured around what is known as capitalism, not
Right.
humanism. Therefore, with that thought in mind, 400 years of working these human beings and saying that they were animal, saying that they were property, saying that they were owned by other people, as long as they were white folks, they were owned by these white people. That, to me, is a sin and a shame, the old folks used to say, where I come from. And 400 years of that does damages. That affected the entire globe, particularly the children of the former chattel slaves. I always say I'm not an African American. Dr. Emeka is. I am a non-immigrant. He's an immigrant. I'm the children of former chattel slaves living in America today. What has happened to me is totally different than any other culture in this country. So it has to be addressed. So when you talk about Dr. King, please understand that Dr. King came for spiritual reasons to show us how to come out of this mess. You can't beat them up. You got to let God do the work. And that's why peace is so important. And those boycotts were so important. And when you cut money down, because that's all this country cares about, not people, that's when you'll get them to make a move.
May I address that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. You're the guest.
Yes. 400 years. And in those 400 years, there's been a significant amount of peace shown by us.
You said peace shown by who?
By us, black people.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't control anything.
Let me finish. A significant amount of peace, what you said is very important, is central to it. Are we free? Why are we even having this conversation? If peace alone is the key. Yes, we must have peace within ourselves. We must understand that all men, black, white, blue, or green, we are brothers. I am no better than the white man next to me, nor is he better than I.
I guess I'm a little mixed up, Doc, because I was talking about the damages. That's all.
Hold on, Woody. Let the doctor finish, and then you can come back. Doctor.
It's important that within the peace and love that you have for your brother man and yourself, you find the right weapon to change the behavior of those who are acting adversely towards you. So when we go to war, we don't go with peace and stand in our trenches with peace signs. We stand with guns. I am not advocating a gun. What I'm saying is we have a gun, but our bullets are our economics.
Okay.
I guess what you're saying, Doc, is basically the same thing. It's just a little bit of a twist. I'm saying that it's economics that we have to, by not buying, by not going to their stores, then you get their attention because they don't care about people. They care about dollars and cents. That's basically what I was saying. So that's how you fight with the weapon of peace. To me, you're not putting a gun on someone's head, and that's what Dr. King stood for.
Yeah, you both are correct.
I understand.
Woody, thanks for your call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your call. Dr. Neil Hall is our guest today. He's a poet. He's also an ophthalmologist, eye doctor specialist, trained in Harvard. And where else did you go to school? A lot of schooling. We're going to go to Tatum. Mr. Tatum, welcome to the show.
That might be Brother Matum, representing the Brothers of Majestic. And good afternoon to your guest. And Doc, you and I've been trying to listen and get to the bottom of what you're doing since 2006 when you had Dr. Malefi Asante on, and you were talking about the European Union, and you even had the owner of the station on a few times. And I was trying to see what the conclusion to that was. But what I want to talk about is the same thing that you brought up a couple of weeks ago, dealing with the ethnicities of those of us here in America. What people need to know that the ethnicities don't matter unless it comes to the point where we're talking about this reparations, which all the presidential candidates said that if the bill comes before them, they would sign.
Okay.
unfortunately, the immigrants have gotten theirs first. And we haven't heard anything about any bill that's going to address what the descendants of those slaves that Brother Woody was just talking about, what they've gone through in this country. Now, Dr. King had some weapons that he used, and they were good, and they did a lot. But the country preacher, who is the Dr. King of today, he said communications is the black seed of is the mustard seed of black.
Tatum, can you get to a point, Tatum, because there's so many callers here. So what's your question or comment? What's the essence of your comment or question?
One of the main things is that when you turn on, we need more time to discuss our issues, and we need something from Biden right now that he's going to do specifically for the descendants of African slaves that voted for him. And in order for us,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
We need to hear something, because this is why our people don't vote.
Tatum, are you calling us? Where are you calling us from in New Jersey?
Well, basically South Jersey, but I'm a proud alumni of the school that you work at, and 4 years at Howard, Dr. Onwuurd, I know all of them.
Okay, all right. We're gonna move on. Thank you very much for the call, Tatum. I appreciate this. I don't know what Biden is going to be doing. He did talk about racial inequality, stuff like that, and we're going to have to ask Dr. Neil Hall's thought about that. But we have so many callers, so we're going to go straight to Joseph. Joseph calls from Massachusetts, I think. Joseph, welcome to the show. Joseph there? Hello, have we lost Joseph? I think we've lost Joseph, so we're going to go straight to the next person here, whose name is Brother Spread Love. Brother Spread Love from the Line Tree. Welcome to the show. Hello, is Brother Spread Love there? All right, well, let's go to Maurice. Maurice is next in the line here. Maurice, welcome to the show.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia, correct?
Yes, yeah. And listen,
welcome to the show.
I disagree with Woody on the peace thing, because I think that Dr. Martin Luther King was probably one of the most radical people that was out there, because he got things done. He got policies changed. He just wasn't talking a big show. He was the big show. But my opinion on this new race that's going on right now, I know you write the poems and stuff, but we've done everything for the Democratic Party. Not only did we save the nation by getting rid of Donald Trump, but we also got the Senate so they could have power, and we put us back in the winner's seat. Why is our agenda, they always want to tell us we got to wait? Our agenda should be in the top 5, something for us. It could be minor as him calling the AG and telling him to talk to law enforcement across the country and say, next time you pull a gun out, just think of that person as a white person before you pull the trigger. Stuff like that. I'm so tired of us, black people talk to each other, telling them, oh, well, we need to wait because he got to get things together. We got to give him time. If we can't get what we want now that we did this for the Democratic Party, we ain't going to never get.
Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia, thanks for your call. Dr. Neil Hall, what's your reactions to some of the statements that were made by Woody and Maurice about...
Well, I think the last caller, I think the thing is so important. We keep waiting for them to do. We keep waiting for them to do for us. We need to move to do things for ourselves. Period. That's
in other words,
the main part. The other one, with respect to the other gentleman that talked about, we need more time, more conversation. I just say briefly, 400 years and more. That's 400 years of time. 400 years or more. That's 400 years of conversation. How much more time and conversation do we need in order to act?
Yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King talks about the fierce urgency of now, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Not just Dr. King, but if you look at the Declaration of Independence, 1776, in that declaration it says, to their tyrant, King George III, they said, now is the necessity. They didn't say tomorrow. They didn't say more conversations. They didn't say more time. They said, now is the necessity.
We're having a conversation with Dr. Neil Hall, poet and ophthalmologist. And he is giving us his own thoughts, his own overview about the legacy of this legendary human rights activist who passed away at the very early age in his life, was shot and killed, his life and times, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We now have to go to our next caller here. His name is, if I can get him here, his name is Brother X from Chicago, on line 2. Brother X, welcome to the show. You have a comment or a question for Dr. Neil Hall?
No, I'd just like to make a comment, young fella, then I'm going to run.
Okay, go ahead.
The more things change, the more things remain the same.
What do you mean?
Mr. Einstein's family escaped Mr. Hitler when Mr. Einstein was a young boy. And later on in life, after Mr. Einstein became famous, and he would go around and making speeches, Mr. Einstein said something that would stand the test of time. Mr. Einstein said, the social differences separating the social classes are false. He said, in the final analysis, the differences separating the classes is violence.
What point are you trying to make, Brother X?
That's what still holds true today. If you can't stop nobody from killing you, taking your land, bombing you, you ain't got nothing coming. And that's going to stand the test of time. And that's why Mandela went to an armed struggle down in South Africa. You can't keep going to these people in peace when they cutting your head off. Them 300 racist police up there getting all on camera in Philly. You think you gonna go to them with peace? You think you can talk to them? Zimmerman, Darrell Wilson, shooting black people down. You think you gonna go to them with a olive branch? I mean, come on. I ain't telling nobody to go do nothing, but let's face facts here. These people are killers. They're psychopaths. Do we understand they psychopaths? They just showed you that up in D.C.
Okay.
And when not one person in this country called it terror except us on the talk show. Dylan Root shot 9 people to death in the church. Not one person called it terror except us on the talk show. No government official said it's terror. Why?
Okay. Thanks, X, for your call all the way from Chicago. I appreciate your call. We are having a conversation today about the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King. And before we go to Khalil, it seems to me that Dr. Neil Hall, our guest, has a comment about that. Dr. Neil Hall, go ahead.
A couple quickly. The gentleman was very powerful. Peace. Absolutely. We have peace within ourselves, but peace. And whose definition of peace are we going to go with? Their definition or our definition, as the way they defined it. You can't, if you want peace, prepare for war.
Well, I don't think Dr. Martin Luther King...
Let me finish.
Sure.
We need any man that wants to free himself, you have to be prepared for some level of violence. I am not saying violence in the streets, guns and all that, but there is a violence that we can use. Gandhi used the violence of civil disobedience. There is the violence of economics. That's the one thing we have not brought to the table. We've brought all this other stuff to the table, and we're still at the table talking. If you want peace, prepare for war. Peace can be obtained through economic violence. And the other gentleman talked about change, and he's absolutely correct. The more they say things change, the more they remain the same. But we must, again, redefine, not go with their definition. What is change? Is it their change or our change? If we're going by their change, it will change to stay the same.
And your change, Dr. Neil Hall, is economic power.
My change is the way to change their behavior, not their hearts and minds. It's through economic power. We were brought here as slaves, not because we were inferior people. We were brought here so that they could make money from us. In order to keep us shackled, they had to make us appear to be, and in our minds, be inferior. And even in their minds, they believed the lie so much, it became a truth for them. This is not a race war. This is not about race, gender, religion, or any of those things. Those are the tools. This is about social-economic advantages and privileges.
Dr.
How
Neil Hall.
do I get them? How do I keep them?
We're going to go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll have so many callers here. We have Brother Spread Love and Khalil from Southwest Philadelphia and a couple of others. We will be right back. A short break, please.
Announcing the Black Words Book Club.
WURD Radio's new monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for February is Long Time Coming, Reckoning with Race in America by Michael Eric Dyson, a New York Times bestseller that traces the roots of racism from slavery and Jim Crow to police brutality. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, February 9th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
Do you have big goals for your business in 2021? Get started and register now for the Business Center's online business plan course. In the 12-week business plan course, you will create a business plan and learn how to finance your business, use social media as a marketing tool, identify grants and loans for funding, and more. You can even receive a loan of $10,000 or more based on your completed business plan. Register now. Visit THEBIZCTR.com today to register for the course and secure your online seat. Financial aid and one-on-one business coaching options are available. Visit THEBIZCTR.com for more information and to register for the online business plan course today. Brought to you by the Business Center.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
We're back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. We're having a conversation with Dr. Neil Hall, who's written a lot of poems about Dr. Martin Luther King, whose birthday was celebrated last Monday. Dr. King was a civil rights, human rights activist. It has an impact on me, on everyone in this world, I would think. And today's edition, we're honoring Dr. Martin Luther King, and our guest today is Dr. Neil Hall, himself a medical doctor, ophthalmologist. We have Brother Spread Love. Brother Spread Love, what's in your mind?
Well, give God the glory. Dr. Emeka, God bless your heart, and Dr. Hall, how are y'all making now?
Okay.
Very well, thank you.
Give thanks. Give thanks for our brother Mike on the boards. Every time doing an amazing job. The whole WURD family, happy to hear everyone. Pray everyone, everything be well. For all those who it ain't well right now, going through it, God bless our hearts. And may we be blessed to help each other, lift each other's spirits, you know?
Okay.
And Dr. Hall, are you also an iridologist?
He's an ophthalmologist.
No, I understand what he's saying.
Are you also an iridologist?
There's a lot of powerful information that's within the iris of the eye. I've done some reading on it, and at some point I was very much interested in possibly doing that, but then I just got really tied up in the writing, and this is where my heart is.
Dr. Hall, there's a noise in the background. I don't know if it's from Mr. Job Spread Love phone, but there's a noise in the background. Brother Spread Love, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. We're going to move on. I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, quickly. Can you round out, please?
Yeah. All right, my question is for Dr. Hall. I'd like to hear your response on how we can reestablish the camaraderie we can use to re-implement tactics like boycotting. And also, I would like to hear your response on if and how our interaction with white people has benefited us as black people in any way, specifically in reference to the life we lived before the boats of enslavement, before the boats of the colonizers reaching this shore.
All right, we got you now. We got you because of time constraints. Let's listen to Dr. Neil Hall respond to your questions. Thank you so much, Spread Love. Thank you for your call. Dr. Neil Hall, response?
I'm not sure of the question. I didn't hear it that well, but what I did hear is, first of all, this isn't, for me, it's not about black. It's not about just black people. It's about humanity and dignity. We're all occupy a space on the circle of humanity. I'm no better than my white brother, my blue brother, red brother. So it's not about that. It's about equality and justice for all.
For all.
So I want to see that amongst all of us. The question is, how can black people cause that to happen, and cause it to happen with this
the weapon
as a weapon, but also maintaining the integrity of the circle of humanity, not breaking it apart, but helping our brothers to understand that we're all brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And to do otherwise, I'm no better than they are.
Okay. We're going to go to, we have Dr. Harris and Dr. Khalid waiting patiently, and we're going to go to them. Let's go to Khalil first. Khalil, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Mecca, and thank you, Doctor, for all the knowledge that you brought. I'll be real quick. I think that people have to understand what politics is. Politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. And
wait a minute. Can you say that again? I need to learn something from you. Politics is what again?
I said politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. It's about it's about resources. It's about economics, and the whole struggle is a class struggle. The biology comes in as justification for the class relationship. So this is what the doctor is talking about, and they needed a class that they could super exploit. So to justify that, they put all these negative connotations on being black and created a class. But if, in fact, I could justify, even if you look at the aristocracy in Europe, these were the bandits who raided the village, and then people began to pay tribute to them, and they became kings. And
so, Khalil, it seems to me that you are agreeing with Dr. Neil Hall's theory that it's all about economics, it's all about money, it's all about power. The power issue has to do. Okay. Well, thanks for your call. Appreciate that. We're going to move on to Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Harris. You're calling from what part of Philadelphia? Actually? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can I say? Yes. Dr. Mecca, can I say one thing quickly?
Yes, quickly, and then we'll go to Dr. Harris.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dr. Harris is my best friend.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good disclosure right there. Okay, Dr. Harris. Two doctors talking on the phone here who are friends. Let's see.
And he's an ophthalmologist.
Oh, well, there you go. So this essentially the same as specialist. There we go. All right, Dr. Harris, give us your thought. I'm sure you will disagree with Dr. Hall, wouldn't you?
We used to have debates about politics versus economics.
Okay.
And I'm curious if you have reevaluated or what your thought is about the role of the ballot box in our liberation. Does it have a role as far as you're concerned at this point in time?
The role of what? Again, Dr. Harris, I wasn't quite sure what you said. The role of what?
As a tool in the liberation of black people, going to the ballot box.
The ballot box politics, okay. I think that's the most powerful weapon, actually. But Dr. Neil Hall, respond to your own friend, Dr. Harris.
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth, except you were a little off with the whole concept. It is a very important one, but it is not the most important one. Many of the most wealthy people in the world don't vote, at least going to pull a lever. They vote with the dollars they give, and those are the people that the politicians listen to. Politicians don't make the laws. Rich people make the laws. The lobbyists make the laws, and they hand them to the politicians to make them come about. So is the vote important? Yes, it has its role, but it is not more important than economic power. And I'll just say this very quickly. They asked us to cast our vote. We cast our vote. They discounted that vote and cast it back at us.
I don't know if I agree with you, Dr. Hall. I don't know if I agree with you. Look at.
I think
Dr. Harris, can you conclude the statement? Because we have two callers here, and time's against us. Dr. Harris, can you?
Well, I would just say that African American people just saved this country. We'd be having a very different conversation if Donald Trump was had just been inaugurated into his second term.
Absolutely.
I think we'd be living in a very different country.
I am on Dr. Harris's side and against you, Dr. Hall, but go ahead. Thank you, Dr. Harris, for your call. Appreciate that. Dr. Hall, quickly.
Talk to you, Neil.
Yeah, okay, my friend. Dr. Harris is absolutely right. But what did they save us? They saved us for status quo. Status quo. No real change other than the change from Trump. But yes, black people saved this country back to status quo.
Through the ballot box. We're going to go to our last call here, Dr. Neil Hall, is Thelma. Thelma lives in Willingboro, New Jersey. Thelma, welcome to the show.
Yes, hi, Dr. Mecca. I'm enjoying your show. I just wanted to mention real quick is that, yes, the country has been saved, thank God. And
black women saved this country.
Yes. I just wanted to mention that what we need to do is also to make a mental note forever on January the 6th and on the election day, only because it was in our face, the racism, the prejudice, and all the things that have happened to us 400 years ago happened January the 6th. And what we've got to do, Dr. Mecca, is that we have got to forget about what they can do for us. It's what us can do for us, because it's not going to change. This racism is not going to change. But we've got to build an infrastructure of schools, of education within our own race and community of people to expand from outside of what this country can give us.
So tell me, you're talking about education as very important, very critical. And the kind of education you get.
Thank you for having that doctor on, optometrist. I enjoyed his poem. But before I go into what I wanted to mention about the eyes, I wanted
quickly,
to
Thelma, because of time constraints here.
I wanted to mention is that our family structure has got to get stronger. We don't have the men into the home to look over the family like we used to. So men are very important as much as women.
Thank you,
And,
Thelma, for your call.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
that. Yes, keep up the good work, Thelma, in the community in Willingboro. And we'll talk to you again next Saturday. Dr. Neil Hall, conclusions. What do we need to do as people of color? Economic weapon. Expand on that a little bit in the next 30 seconds, please.
Well, I think we spent most of the radio show talking about what we need to do. You know how I feel. It's about using the best tool, the most powerful tool to free ourselves, and do it from the standpoint of true humanitarians, believers that we are all equal. And that's the simple answer very quickly. I just wanted two quick things. You keep referring to me as an activist. I am not an activist. I am the response to being acted upon adversely. And where we are at where we've always been, at the precipice. The black folks saved us through voting from falling off the precipice.
Okay.
But
All
we
right.
are still at the precipice.
We want to thank you, Dr. Neil Hall. I've been told that we have to go. And we want to thank you very much for taking time again to be with us. We know you're a very busy man, making all the money you make. And we thank you again for taking time to be with us. We appreciate that. I'm very glad that you and your colleague, Dr. Harris, disagreed, because I am on his side. I don't know if I agree with you completely, but keep up the good work and spread love all over the world. Thank you so much, Dr. Neil Hall. Appreciate it.
Yes, and please don't say that for Dr. Harris.
And that ends the show. Okay, and that's the end of the show today, folks. I want to thank you, everyone that joined us in one way or the other, either through your calls or just listening. My name is Dr. Emeka. I'll be back again next Saturday, God willing, at 1 o'clock, discussing some critical issues that impact on the black world in general. Until then, take good care of yourself. And all that, please, if you see someone without compassion, I always say, give him or her one of yours, because it's the right thing to do. I want to thank Bossman Mike for being the great engineer he's always been. I'll see you next week. Bye now.